Hi, and welcome back to your last video on your lesson plan template tour. The last three sections that we're going to work on include strategies, related skills, and differentiation ideas. And then we're going to talk for a couple minutes just about AI and how to use it and how not to use it. So, first are strategies. Strategies include instructional strategies that you're using. So that might be direct instruction, lecture, slideshow. It might be modeling if you're showing students how to do something. It might include anything that you have students doing. For example, collaborative learning, if you have students pairing up and working together. It might include scaffolding if you're working one-on-one with students and helping them to understand a concept with a lot more instruction, direct instruction. It will include discussion, questioning, um, stations if you have that. Any kind of gamification, if you use any kind of gaming in your lesson. So any kind of instructional strategies that you're using. If it's a project-based learning lesson, then you put project-based learning here. So any kind of instructional strategy that you use, you'll put in this cell. The next one, related skills, are all the things that you're going to be indirectly developing in your students. So that might be if you're having students work together in collaborative learning, then that would be developing social emotional skills, team building skills, communication skills. If they're solving problems, you would be developing critical thinking skills. If they're doing presentations, again, communication skills. So these are some of the things that you don't necessarily have a standard for. They're not really part of your lesson objective, but you're going to be developing them along the way. If you're having students work on a project, then they might be developing executive function skills where they're having to plan and meet interim deadlines. So anything that kind of like is going to be, they're going to be utilizing and developing in this lesson, that's in addition to the standards that you're working on, would be a related skill. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to talk about on your lesson plan template is differentiation ideas. Now, as with the first couple of cells that we talked about in the first video, where you have to consider, reflect on, and consider what kind of skills students need to be able to access this lesson, and also what are some of the common mistakes that students will make when learning this, misconceptions will have when they're learning this concept. And so this one is really hard as well if you don't have a specific group of students in mind. If you're doing it, sorry, there's a little gnat here. If you're doing it for a specific group of students, that say you have an internship or student teaching, or when you're teaching your own class someday, you're going to know the students and what their needs are and how to support them. So if you're actually going to use a lesson that you're developing using this template with students, then you'll find out what students have IEPs, and what they have IEPs for. And then you're going to put, based on the accommodations that are listed in their IEPs and what your cooperating teacher tells you about what accommodations work for them, then you're going to list that here and be very specific. Jack needs extra time. Jack needs to have a notes page, and so I'll provide that to him. So, you'd be very specific about the accommodations and supports you're providing for each student. Same with students, English language learners. They might have specific accommodations. So it says for IEP 504, students with those, but also other students. So also be thinking in this section about students that might work ahead, right? They might work at a faster pace than the other students. What do they do when they're done, right? Do you have extra, more challenging work for them to do next? Or are you going to use them as mini mentors to walk around and help other students? So think about how you're going to support the different student needs that you're going to have during this lesson. Uh, in the abstract, if you don't have an exact idea of what your students might need, then you can put some general ideas. So you might say, for ELL students, I'm going to have pictures whenever possible. I'm going to have an anchor chart with the vocabulary and the definitions and perhaps a picture. I'm going to pull small groups for anyone that is struggling and needs reteaching, whether they're English language learners or students with IEPs or just students that are struggling. I'm also going to have extra challenging problems available for students that finish early, and so on. So these might be some ideas of things that you could put in this section if you don't know who your students are going to be and what their needs are. Okay, that's those last three sections. So now we've talked about all different sections throughout this this lesson plan template and how you complete it. And so the only other thing that I really want to talk about very briefly is how to use AI, Teachers Pay Teachers, and other resources that are out there at your disposal. Use them. I'm now always consult with the professor that you have that you're doing the lesson plans for. Ask them, is it okay to use AI for idea generation? Is it okay to go to Teachers Pay Teachers if there's a really great activity that you found? Because different professors will have different policies on this. As far as I'm concerned, you could use those resources, but use them for idea generation. So you can go to AI and ask them, what are some ideas for engaging students in learning how to add fractions? And you want to be as specific as possible, and it might take a couple of iterations. And so, because if you aren't specific enough, like if you want to pair students up and have them work collaborative, say using collaborative learning, if you want to incorporate station work into your lesson, add to your prompt using stations. If you want the learning to be more active, specify that. The more specific you are with AI, the better outcome you're going to get. And I've seen lesson plans where people have used AI to generate ideas, and they've been fantastic. You always have to put things into your own words, and you can't just print and go. And you have to read over everything very carefully because sometimes they do make mistakes, the AI chatbots, and sometimes it's not really exactly what you need, and so you should tweak it to meet your needs. Okay? If you have any questions about using AI or Teachers Pay Teachers or any other resource that's out there for you, then let me know. But basically, I think it's good for you to use them, but just always put it into your own words and make sure it's meeting the needs that you need. Okay, thank you.